Hello friends, welcome back to Dr. Jagdish Academy. In today's lecture, I will discuss about the renal diseases. Actually, we can say renal diseases are of various types, but what I will discuss is the renal failure actually. Okay, so renal failure can also be of two types, acute and the chronic. So in today's lecture, I will discuss about the acute renal failure. So let's start. So in this video, I will discuss on the definition of the acute renal failure, what are the conditions that will lead to the acute renal failure, what is the etiology and pathogenesis, and what are the signs and symptoms, and what are the laboratory findings. So let's start. So starting with the definitions of the acute renal failure, in short it is called as ARF. It is also called as acute kidney injury. So it is also called as AKI. So when what we see acute, acute means abrupt, suddenness. So when there is an abrupt loss of the kidney functioning, kidney stop functioning immediately, or you can say in a very short period of time. That means within 7 days, kidney stop functioning. Okay. So what we will say it has stopped functioning, because we have to see some parameters. The parameters is the measurement of serum creatinine levels. That means creatinine in the serum. Creatinine, it is a waste material, the levels of which may increase if the kidney is not functioning. So what are the changes in the levels of creatinine levels in the serum? And then what is the urine output? On these two bases, we define the ARF. So what is the exact definition of ARF? So we say ARF if any one of the following is present. Anyone. I am giving certain conditions. Number one, within 48 hours, that means within 2 days, this increase in the serum creatinine levels by 0.3 milligram per deciliter. That means if the level is, let's say, 1.5, it immediately goes to 1.8, or let's say it is 1.8, it goes to 2.1 or more. Okay, so the levels increases by this much value within 2 days. We say it is actually acute renal failure. Or time period is 7 days. The serum creatinine levels increases more than 1.5 times than the baseline levels. That means you measure the baseline level creatinine today, and within 7 days, if the levels are increased to 1.5 times or more, you say it comes under the category of the acute renal failure. Third, urine output. So if you think that urine output is reduced, how much it is reduced? So 0.5 ml per kg per hour for more than 6 hours. That means for continuously for more than 6 hours, you see the urine output is reduced, and this is what I am telling. This you have to calculate. If this is the urine output, this reduction in urine output is there, we say acute renal failure. So you can say either this is present, or this is present. You will say all of these they come under the category of ARF. So what are the different conditions of the acute renal failure? Normal person. Okay. So what is a normal person? Urine output within 24 hours is either 1 liter or 2 liter, 1000 ml or 2000 ml. And depending on the urine output, the person can be non-oliguria. Non-oliguria means the urine output is more than 40 ml per day. It is a acute renal failure. Okay, because the urine output is reduced, but person is still non-oliguria. Because oliguria, when urine output is less than 450, it will 50 and 450 ml per day, then we say it is a oliguria. Then anuria, when the urine output is very less, 50 ml in a day. So you can say these are the three terms we use: non-oliguria, oliguria, or anuria with the renal failure, depending on what is the urine output. Epidemiology, that means if you see the patients, where you find these kind of the patients. So very important, the incidence rate is very high in the hospitalized person. That means if the person is in a hospital, then you have to understand that the chances of acute renal failure are very high in the hospital persons, and you will be very surprised that the chances become much more higher if the person is in an intensive care unit, and very less if it person in the community, that means in a home. Okay, you understand? Very less in the community, middle, you can say in the hospitalized, very high in the intensive care unit. So we can classify, we can differentiate community acquired, very low incidence, less than 1%, hospital moderate 2 to 5%, and very high 6 to 28%, 6 to 23. That means if the 100 persons are admitted in the ICU, you can expect that up to 23 persons will suffer from the acute renal failure. And mostly, you can identify a single cause, okay, which is responsible for the acute renal failure. Here, there may be a single or multiple reasons. Here, most of the time, there are many reasons for the development of the acute renal failure. And another point, survival rate is very high. You can see 70 to 95%. It is again intermediate, 30 to 50%. Very low, 10 to 30%. That means if the person is in ICU, the incidences are very high, the reasons are many, and survival is also very less. So this is about the epidemiology. Coming down to etiology and pathogenesis. So we use this word actually, azotemia, this term. Azotemia means when the waste materials are very high in the body. Because kidney is not functioning, waste material will be high. What are two waste materials that we measure? One is the blood urea nitrogen. This is one of the excretory product. And second is the creatinine. So very high levels of the blood urea nitrogen or the serum creatinine is called as azotemia. So we are having different kind of the renal failures. One is called as pre-renal azotemia. Pre-renal, pre means before. Something is abnormal, not in the kidney, but something before the kidney. That means before means blood supply is not coming to the kidney. Something has happened, something somewhere else related to blood supply. Second is renal azotemia. That means some defect has taken place within the kidney. Structural damage to the kidney. Then post-renal, that means not in the kidney but after the kidney. After means some obstruction in the urinary, obstruction in the urine flow, like in the urethra. Like then functional azotemia, that means no damage, nothing, no structural damage in the kidney, but there is a hemodynamic and the functional changes. So we will discuss these individually. Pre-renal, renal, post-renal and functional. Okay. So first of all we will discuss the pre-renal, when there is a reduction in the blood supply. Pre-renal. So blood is not coming in a normal way to the kidneys. If the blood is not coming, how it will be filtered? If it is not filtered, so you can say the waste materials will rise. Okay. So it can be again of two types. One is systemic hypoperfusion. Systemic means throughout the body. Hypo means reduced, perfusion means flow. So that means in a whole body, blood flow is reduced. Not only the kidney, but whole body. If the blood is not going in a whole body, obviously kidney will also not get the blood. So generalized decrease in the blood flow to the whole body. So this can happen if there is a hemorrhage. That means there is a loss of the blood. Decrease in the fluid, like in a diarrhea or excessive use of the diuretics. So this will lead to reduction in the perfusion to the kidneys. Okay. Then second is selective renal hypoperfusion. The things are normal in the body, but blood is not going to the renal. Something related to the renal blood flow. Like, so this is the definition: decreased blood supply specifically to the kidneys. Then there is some defect in the renal arteries. Example I am telling, bilateral means both kidneys. Renal artery, that means blood supplying to the both the arteries is reduced because of stenosis. Stenosis means narrowing of the blood vessels. The blood vessels, renal arteries which are supplying to the two kidneys, they are narrowed. So renal hyperperfusion or systemic hyperperfusion. In both the conditions, if the blood will not go to the kidney, filtration will not take place and waste material will increase. Second is some defect is there in the renal, and these are again classified into different types. Damage may take place to the glomeruli, renal tubules or the interstitium. Interstitium means in between the material. So the damage to the kidney. So glomerular damage, tubular damage, which is also called as acute tubular necrosis, third is acute interstitial nephritis. So I will discuss these three independently: glomerular, renal, and acute. And how we will come to know what laboratory test we can do so as to distinguish whether it is glomerular, renal, or the acute. So first of all, glomerular damage. Glomerular. So there is a damage to the glomerulus. So what will be the output in the urine? So there is a proteinuria, that means abundant proteins will come in the urine if there is a damage to the glomerulus. So what is the limit? More than 3 gram protein per 24 hours. That means you take out the urine for 24 hours, collect it, and the urine and the protein, if it is more than 3 gram, you say it is a proteinuria and there is a damage to the glomerulus. Second thing, along with proteinuria, there will be large number of RBC in the urine. Some hemolysis has taken place. Examples: acute glomerulonephritis is an example. Second is when damage to the tubules, renal tubules damage. It is also called as ATN, acute tubular necrosis. Okay. So damage to the renal tubules. Maybe blood is not going. Some toxins are administered like contrast, contrast dye, heavy metals, or some gentamicin aminoglycosides like. And what will be the characteristic features of the urine? Urine will contain dirty brown cast. If you take out the urine, see under the microscope, you will see some cast, brown colored cast you can see in the urine. RBC are very rare. And remember in the last I said, glomerular damage, RBC are very important. Coming down to the acute interstitial nephritis, when damage to the interstitium has taken place. What may be the cause? Some drugs like penicillin, sulfonamides, infections like HIV or streptococcus. Then it may be to the autoimmune like systemic lupus erythematosus. What is the urine characteristic? Now because this is an infection, okay, so there is a presence of WBC or WBCs, particularly eosinophils, and some cast in the urine. Post-renal. Now I discussed the pre-renal, renal. Now I will discuss the post-renal, not in the renal, after the renal. So due to obstruction in the urinary system, it is the major reason. Some obstruction has taken place. And remember, symptoms will develop only if obstruction is there in both the kidneys, not in a one kidney. Examples: some stone, uric acid crystals, oxalate, they obstruct the renal tubules. So urine is formed, but urine is not able to come out because it is obstructed. Okay, sinus obstruction. In males, obstruction may be there due to enlargement of the prostate gland. Okay, this prostate will compress the urethra and urine will not come out. So that happens in a disease which is called as prostatic hypertrophy. So now another one is functional azotemia, when there is no damage to the kidney, no obstruction, no damage, but functional changes. So there is a hemodynamic changes in the kidney, and ultimately there is a decrease in the glomerular filtration rate. So if you study the physiology of the urine formation, you know there are afferent arterioles and there is a efferent arterioles. Okay, so what happens in this condition? There is a vasoconstriction of the afferent arterioles and dilation of efferent arterioles. Opposite is happening as compared to normal. As a result, filtration is not there. Normally, in a normal condition, this is dilated, this is constricted, but now opposite has taken place. So this alteration is there. So what may be the causes? Some drugs may produce these kind of things like NSAIDs like aspirin, ibuprofen, nimesulide, these kind of things. Or ACE inhibitors, which are very commonly used in the treatment of blood pressure or CHF. Okay. Cyclosporin, it is a drug which is given as an immunosuppressant. It also may produce functional azotemia. So what are the signs and symptoms of acute renal failure? So whatever the renal failure we have discussed, there are some common signs and symptoms. Urine output is reduced. As I discussed earlier, it may be anuria or oliguria. So obviously fluid is not moving outside. Where fluid will go? Fluid has nothing to go, but it will retain in our body. So fluid retention. If fluid will retain, what will happen? Edema. And what are the prominent sites where the edema will take place? Either in the legs or the feet. Fatigue, because waste materials are accumulated, so body gets fatigued. Flank pain in the kidney region, where the kidney is located in the abdomen, you can feel the pain. Ultimately, person feels like nausea and vomiting. And if you go for the laboratory changes, you calculate biochemical changes. You take out the urine, you will see the urine has changed its color. It may be colored, it may be foamy or something like that. Because foamy, because proteins are present. Red in color because RBC may be there. Okay. So what other thing you can say? If you take out the blood, measure the pH, you will find that pH is reduced. It has become more acidic in nature. So that acidic nature of the pH, acidic nature of the blood is called as metabolic acidosis. Because metabolites are accumulated in the body, which are not excreted. Potassium levels are very high because potassium is not excreted. Uremia means blood urea nitrogen is very high in the blood. Emia means blood. Okay. Increase in blood urea nitrogen. Uremia, I'm telling what is uremia. Uremia is actually an increase in blood urea nitrogen, increase in the serum nitrate. And another thing, decrease in the GFR. So these are the things. Appearance of the urine is changed, metabolic acidosis, high potassium levels, uremia, and decrease in GFR. So in the upcoming video, I will discuss about the chronic renal failure, etiology, pathogenesis, and clinical symptoms. Thank you.